Hello, my name is Lisa Miranda, and I will be talking about post-retirement, employer reports, my ERS, and what that means to our employers. A member cannot work in any capacity for a TRS participating employer for a 6-month period following either their effective retirement date or their last date of employment, whichever is later. Employment during the 6-month break will cause the forfeiture of all retirement benefits received during this period. This includes employment on a volunteer basis. The IRS requires a bona fide separation from service from all TRS covered employers before a member can retire. This means that before a retirement, a member cannot plan either verbally or in writing to return to work with a TRS covered employer after retirement. Failing to complete a bona fide separation of service may result in TRS delaying or even canceling the member's retirement. Now that I've touched on our post-retirement rules as they relate to retirees, I want to share what we need to see from the employers. When any TRS retiree is working for a TRS employer in any capacity, they are subject to what we call the post-retirement fee. This is a 16.5% fee remitted on compensation paid to the retiree. Typically, the only compensation regularly excluded from the post-retirement fee is the flex benefit allowance. Additionally, post-retirement contributions apply to all TRS retirees, regardless of their position, certification, or hours worked. We'll cover some examples here shortly. I like to think of this as their status as a TRS retiree supersedes all of our other eligibility rules when they are working in post-retirement. This is an employer-paid fee, so nothing should be withheld from the retiree for TRS. Also, the fee is remitted in the same manner that the regular contributions are, via a monthly contribution report. Next, we'll cover a few examples. Example 1. Joe retired from teaching June 1st, 2025, and began drawing his TRS retirement. He is returning in January 2026 as a full-time teacher. Question: should his employer pay the post-retirement fee? The answer is yes. All TRS retirees are subject to the post-retirement fee. Retiree example number 2. Our scenario is that Dennis retired in 2015 and began drawing his TRS retirement, but now he will be driving a bus just part-time this year. The first question is, should his employer pay the TRS post-retirement fee? The answer is yes. All TRS retirees are subject to the post-retirement fee. The second question, does it matter if this retiree only works part-time? The answer, no. All TRS retirees are subject to the post-retirement fee regardless of the hours worked or position. Please note, since he retired over 36 months ago, he will not be subject to any earnings limit. Retiree example number 3. Phyllis retired in 2024 and began drawing TRS retirement. She will be substituting on occasion this year. The first question, should her employer pay the post-retirement fee? The answer, yes. All TRS retirees are subject to the post-retirement fee. Substituting is usually ineligible to contribute on, but since she is a retiree, that supersedes eligibility. The second question, does it matter if the retiree is certified or not? The answer, no. All retirees are subject to the post-retirement fee regardless of their certification status. Next, I will cover employer reports and my ERS. My ERS stands for My Employer Reporting System. You may know it as the Employer Portal. My ERS is the key component to communication between TRS and our employers. This is where all of your reports are submitted. Additionally, My ERS is a source of information for employers. Here you can find upcoming due dates as well as historical report data. One thing to note is that it's important that every employee who must access My ERS has their own individual account. This helps us know who is submitting reports and payments in case we have any questions. This also helps us make sure that we have up-to-date contact information for employers. The link to My ERS is shown on this slide. or you can access My ERS through the Employers tab on our website or in the Employer Manual. Now that you know a little bit about where the reports go, let's cover the types of reports there are. I'm going to talk through these using both the report types and My ERS just so you can start to put all the pieces together. TRS requires 4 types of reports from our employers. The first and most frequent type is the monthly report. This report consists of monthly contributions, so any month that you have someone working that is participating in TRS, you should have a corresponding TRS contribution report. The second and third reports are annual reports. These only come around once a year, thankfully, and these are the year-end report and the calendar year tax form report. Lastly is a periodic report called an Employer Retirement Verification, or ERV. This report is only required when someone retires. We will go into some more detail on these types of reports momentarily. First up is the monthly contribution report. This report is always due the 10th of the month following the month in which the work was performed. This means that payment for work done in July needs to be reported as a July contribution submitted by August 10th. I repeat, reporting months should represent the month the work was performed, not the payroll or payday month. Monthly reports can be uploaded from a file generated from your accounting software vendor. They can be entered and uploaded from our template, which is available on our website, or you can manually enter contribution information directly on My ERS. All payments for monthly contribution reports should be submitted via My ERS. Please do not send us a paper check for monthly contributions. If you send us a check for contribution reports, we will send it back to you. Each report has to pass through a validation process before it can be submitted. A confirmation number will be generated after the report is successfully submitted. In My ERS, you will submit those monthly contribution reports under the Monthly tab. This is also where you'll submit any kind of adjustment reporting. So if you have to go back and correct your federal coding, submit a negative report for ineligible contributions, or if you miss someone on a report, you'll submit those adjustments through this tab as well. You can upload multiple months as long as they are in the same employment year. You can also upload multiple files to the same report as long as you don't mind having one confirmation number for all of the files you uploaded. Next up is one of the annual reports called the Employment Year-End Report. This report is due by November 1st of each year for the previous employment year. For example, the 2026 Employment Year-End Report will be due by November 1st of 2026. Our system will validate the year-end data against the monthly reports that were submitted throughout the fiscal year. Members receive their service credit only after the year-end report is submitted, reviewed, and posted. Our member services team begins receiving calls about missing service credit as early as June after the school year ends. So not only is it helpful to TRS if you get those reports in early, it also helps your employees have peace of mind about their service credit with TRS. The year-end collects a lot of information on your TRS members, including their regular annual compensation, their federal compensation, and their position's FTE information. We'll also ask for hours and days the member worked during the year and their sick leave balance. This report goes through a validation process similar to the monthly report, but instead, the year-end report looks at all of the monthly data submitted for that fiscal year. And for those of you that have had to work on a year-end report, you might be wondering what this report even does. Why am I doing all of this work? Well, the answer is that the year-end helps TRS and all our employers find and correct any discrepancies in reporting. We can't catch everything, but the year-end report sure helps catch a lot. The year-end report also gives us the information that we need to award service credit to the employees. We do this by comparing the days and hours the employee actually worked to the reported full-time equivalent days and hours. We also compare the days worked with the service credit awarded. meaning if the member worked for half the year from August to January, they are only receiving 0.5 service credit and not a full year of service. This report is submitted through My ERS on the Employment Year-End tab. We want to emphasize that this report should be submitted no later than November 1st. We always encourage employers to start early on this report because it can take some time to clear up errors. This can be a long process, especially if there are any missed payments needing to be submitted or ineligible contributions needing to be adjusted. We know those can take time to get approved, so it is not a bad idea to start on this report early. Please be aware the closer we get to November 1st, the more employers call in for help to try to get the report submitted on time. We have almost 600 employers, so there may be a slightly longer delay in a return phone call or a response to an email. Next up is the calendar year tax report, and this is the most straightforward report that we require. It should contain the total earnings received by each individual, including TRS members and non-members for the previous calendar year. It should include the information for both your W-2 and 1099 employees. I repeat, all employees should be submitted on this tax report, even employees who work for a third-party service. This report is due by March 15th for the previous calendar year. It is uploaded and submitted under the Tax Forms tab. The final type of report submitted through My ERS is the Employer Retirement Verification, or ERV. ERVs are generated after a member turns in their application to retire. This indicates to TRS that this member wants to proceed with retirement. The ERVs allow us to generate a member service record so we can estimate retirement benefits and finalize the retirement. Employers receive an email notification when an ERV is coming due. These are also listed on the home page of My ERS. There are 2 sets or rounds of ERVs. We'll discuss those on the next slide. We also have detailed instructions on our website or upon request on how to complete the ERVs. As I mentioned, the ERV process consists of 2 sets or rounds of ERVs. The first is the ERV-1. These are due approximately 60 days before retirement. So a June 1st retiree's ERV-1 is due around April 1st. On the ERV-1, we ask the employer that the employer provides the retiree's expected or anticipated TRS eligible earnings, their service credit information, and the sick leave that the member will have at the time of retirement. We know you can't see to the future, but a close approximation will help us provide your retiree with a quality estimate of what their benefits will be. Then, the second step of this process is the ERV-2. ERV-2s become available about 1 week before the retiree's official retirement date, and these are due no later than the 15th of the month of their retirement. As an example, for a June 1st retirement, you'll get access to their ERV-2 the last week of May, and it will be due by June 15th. The ERV-2 should contain their final TRS eligible earnings, final service credit information, and final sick leave balance that they ended their employment with. The ERV-2 allows us to finalize the retirement with accurate data well before we receive that year's year-end report. Please note any discrepancies in salary or service credit between the year-end report and ERV-2, whether lower or higher, will result in an adjustment to the retiree's monthly benefit and will require repayment to TRS for any excess benefits received by the retiree. Here is a very simple example of how information might vary between the ERV-1 and ERV-2. On the ERV-1, the employer reports an expected compensation of $40,000 and an expected sick leave balance of 90 days. Then after the ERV-1 was submitted, let's say this employee worked some unexpected extra duty and earned $2,500. All that extra work wore them out and they took 4 sick leave days to recover. The ERV-2 in this scenario would need to be updated to reflect the changes. The employer would report a final compensation of $42,500 because they were paid for extra duties. Then their final sick leave balance should be reduced by the 4 sick days for a total of 86 days. ERVs are listed on the Retirement Verification tab of My ERS. On the far left side of the screen, you'll see either View or Edit. When you have an ERV that you need to submit, you can click Edit and complete the form that is displayed on the following screen. This is the only TRS report that it is not possible to upload a file. ERVs must be manually entered. Once an ERV is submitted to TRS, a checkbox will appear under the ERV1 or ERV2 complete columns on the far right side of this page. You can also review previously submitted ERVs under the Completed Deadline Passed tab. One helpful resource on My ERS is the Reports tab. On this tab, there are 4 reports available. The first is the Employment Year Overview by Member, which will show a contribution summary for all of your reported employees for a specific employment year. The second is the TRS Contributions by Member and Employment Year, which will show all of a specific member's reports for a specific employment year. The third is the Member Details by Tax Number report. This report has information about their TRS membership status. It will show you if they are a retiree or if they have an opt-out record on file. It will also show you their last contribution date, even if it was through another employer. We encourage employers to use the Member Details by Tax Number report to confirm retirees and optional election statuses for non-classified employees. Finally, there is a Service Credit report which shows service credit as it was reported to TRS on the year-end report. All these reports contain the information that has been reported to TRS by the employer. Finally, let's talk about the Home tab, and I always save this for last because I think it does a good job of summarizing everything we've covered on My ERS. The Home dashboard gives an overview of the status of contributions, your annual reports and ERVs. We'll get into a few specific fields shortly. Only information from the designated employment year will display on the Home dashboard. Changing the year on this page to view a prior year's report has no effect on the reports that you're uploading to us. Your files will tell us which year the report belongs to. As we scroll down the Home tab, you'll see the sections where your tax form report and your employment year end would be listed. When we took this screenshot, neither of those have been reported for the employment year. However, if they had been, a confirmation number would show up in those boxes with a submittal date. Below those, upcoming retirement verifications, 1s and 2s, would be shown, and you'd be able to click into those from the Home tab, as well as over on the Retirement Verification tab that we talked about earlier. Below the retirement verifications, there are fields for the last 5 monthly submissions, and you also have a link to view all. That link will show you your report history going back to 2012. To the right of that is the Receipts overview. Here you can view and print your receipts that have been posted to the system. So, in summary of the employer reports and My ERS, the things that you need to remember are that all of your reports are submitted through My ERS. There's helpful membership information available on My ERS through the Member Details by Tax Number report. Our important due dates are the 10th of every month for the prior month's contributions. Then March 15th, the calendar year tax report is due. November 1st, the year-end report is due. Please remember to start on this one early. And finally, our periodic report, the ERVs. The ERV1 is due 60 days before the date of retirement, and the ERV2s are due by the 15th of the month of retirement. So those are our big takeaways for employer reporting and My ERS. And finally, we want to say thank you, not only for joining us today, but also for all that you do for education in the state of Oklahoma.